Now, I'm a believer that it is absolutely essential to have plants of different heights within your garden. And today I'm going to be taking a look at some of my favorite tall perennials that will add some height and some drama to your flower beds. Generally, these grow at the back of a border, so they don't cover everything else up, but you can experiment too and place them maybe in the middle if you're looking at a border from multiple angles, or to the sides and sort of create a dramatic little effect that way too. So here are some of my absolute favorite perennials that grow nice and tall. By the way, I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, consider subscribing and supporting my channel. I would really appreciate it, and hopefully we can reach my goal. Now, where would this list be without Verbena bonariensis? Verbena bonariensis will grow to just above 6 foot, I find. It is incredibly prolific in terms of flowering, absolutely loved by the bees and the butterflies, as you can see on screen now. And it's amazing. It's got very tall, airy stems, so you can grow other things behind it and you'll still be able to see through. And it's just so lovely. It reminds me of cherry blossom flowers, but obviously in this purple color. It's also pretty hardy. Now, in the UK, this technically is actually on the lower side of the hardiness rating. However, I found it reliably comes back every year, and if it doesn't, you can bet yourself that it will have self-seeded and new plants will be appearing all over your border. So if you are worried about self-seeders, be careful with Verbena bonariensis, because it will do it, and it'll make sure there's lots and lots of baby verbenas around. But if you don't mind that and you want lots of free plants, then this one is absolutely perfect for you. Here's one that I don't see on every list. This is Rudbeckia Herbstsonne lacinator. I probably butchered the pronunciation, but we all know Rudbeckias. They're also known as black-eyed Susans, and they have the light sort of yellow flowers. They remind me of little sunflowers. However, this is the tall variant, which grows way above 6 foot. It might even get to like 7 foot, to be honest with you, depending on the conditions. And it is crazy. It's like having a perennial sunflower that'll just come back every year. It's incredibly hardy, and it has those same beautiful yellow flowers that the Rudbeckia does. It's just incredibly tall. Now, this is actually 2 plants. I recommend planting these in groups, otherwise they might look a little bit sparse. So don't just plant one of these in your garden, plant a few of them together and you'll get a dramatic effect. I'm growing them alongside other things like heleniums and even smaller Rudbeckias down there, because I just think they will go really nicely together. This is definitely one for the back of your border because the foliage is pretty strong. So get this one planted. You've got to have a Rudbeckia Herbstsonne in your garden. It's just so incredible. I love it. I kind of wish they come in different colors too, but the yellow is very striking and will add a big pop of cheerful color to your garden, which, I mean, hey, we all need some of that, right? So yeah, definitely one to get. Don't just think about the other ones like Rudbeckia goldstem. Get yourself a Rudbeckia Herbstsonne lacinator as well. You probably noticed it in my videos already, but here we have Achillea plate of gold, which is a much taller variety of some of the other Achillea yarrows that you might have in your garden. With its beautiful sort of bright yellow, almost gold-like heads, as the name would suggest, this one loves full sun. It loves things to be dry, like a lot that I've suggested on this list already do, actually, to be fair. And it'll add such a beautiful pop of color. It's very much a prairie plant, I always imagine it as. I can imagine it growing against lots of sort of tall perennial grasses. So a must have in your garden if you're looking to cheer things up with a huge pop of color. This one is just so beautiful. And there are many other types of Achillea out there, like I mentioned, but not all of them will grow this tall. So definitely do yourself a favor and check the label of the plants you're buying, because you might be disappointed that they don't all get as tall as this beautiful Achillea. By the way, this was a tiny plant grown in, I think, a 9-centimeter pot, and it's this big already this year. So next year, who knows how big this is going to be. I can imagine it being absolutely huge. So a great one to have. Sadly, I can't actually show it in this video because it's decided to be really naughty and just grow a ton of foliage and no stems. I don't know why that is for me. If you have any ideas, let me know. But this is called Cephalaria gigantea, and it's very similar to a lot of other scabious plants that you might have seen, but it's this sort of whitey yellow color. This will get incredibly tall once again, like the others on this list, to about 6 foot and above, and it's an incredibly airy plant. It's like the Verbena in the same sort of way. It loves full sun. It definitely needs that to grow well. So an amazing sort of natural looking plant that you can have for your garden. It's quite funny how it's got the gigantea in its name. It's really advertising to you exactly what it is. And it's true, it really is one of the giant perennials that you can get for your garden. So a must have if you're looking for something tall and you like those sort of scabious like plants. Here's another tall one right at the back. It's kind of hard to see it, but this is a Thalictrum, which you might already have within your garden. It's got this really tall stem and this very distinctive foliage at the bottom. This one is called Thalictrum Elin. So this particular variety is the one that gets incredibly tall, I think to about 6 foot or just below maybe. And again, it's another must-have for me. It's got a very sort of tall stem. It's not much in the way of foliage, but the flowers, this sort of pretty mix of yellow and pink. Kind of reminds me of Easter in a way. So yeah, unfortunately you can't see it too well out here, but I might have another one. Yes, here we go. Here's a much better example. Look at those flowers, they're so unique. It's swaying in the wind currently, so it's great for that. It does love a bit of full sun, but I think it will tolerate maybe partial shade as well, which is kind of neat. And this one actually has a lot more foliage than the other, which surprises me given the fact the other one's kind of more sunny. So maybe this one actually wouldn't mind a bit of partial shade, to be honest. So yeah, a great tall one to have. Some of the other Thalictrums, you know, don't get this tall. So that's why I wanted to put Elin on the list, because it's the one that I know reliably gets tall. Now this one is called Verbena rosea, and it is like the Verbena bonariensis. It won't get quite as tall, maybe just below 6 foot, but it has these very beautiful, gentle flowers that are very similar to Verbena bonariensis, but just a little bit more dainty. This one's actually a lot hardier as well, I've found. For some reason, I don't know why that is, but yeah, this one's a lot hardier, and it's just a beautiful plant. It's so airy, it'll fill your garden with some beautiful pink joy. You know, it'll fill out a space really nicely. It's a lot less thin than the Verbena bonariensis. As you can see, the foliage takes up quite a lot of space, so definitely keep that in mind. But I highly recommend having it in your garden. I think it is an absolutely wonderful perennial plant. We also can't do this video without talking about tall perennial grasses that are held on these really beautiful tall stems. They're great for adding foliage and interest to your garden, even in winter with their sort of dead foliage that will sway in the wind. They're amazing. Perfect for perennial planting and, you know, planting in schemes of different plants. I like them in prairie borders, and I think even in a cottage garden they go nicely too. This one is Calamagrostis Carl Forrester, which is a really popular one. Another one I really like is Malinia Caerulea Transparent, which I'm going to put the actual names on screen because I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, so don't worry if I got it wrong, because I will cover you all with the actual, you know, proper names. But just love how these fill out this border and look so lovely and airy, and how they move in the wind and just give you that beautiful aspect to your garden that a lot of other plants can't have, especially if they're, you know, more focused on flowering. And when it gets to autumn, these guys are going to go a beautiful golden shade, and it's just going to look wonderful. And like I said, they'll stay up in winter as well and give you winter interest. So there is so much to love about these guys. I really think they're great. Now here's a quick little round of some plants that aren't like tall perennials, but they do still get decently tall. One of them at the back here is Perovskia Silver Spire, which I would say is probably about maybe like 5'6" or 5'7" at the moment. It could probably get a little bit taller than that. So if you're looking for something on, you know, medium to tall range, that could be a good one for you. Another one, as you can see here, is Cosmos. There are some varieties of this which will get to a similar height as that Perovskia. They love full sun. You know, they love to flower prolifically all throughout the year. They will give you so much. So definitely one that is worth having in your garden, I find. I think they are wonderful. Keep in mind that Cosmos are annuals, not perennials, so you will have to start growing them again next year, but it's very easy to collect seeds from them. Linearia purpurea Cannon Went, this beautiful silvery-like foliage with these dainty pink flowers will grow and flower from very early summer onwards. And yeah, it's just amazing. Bees and butterflies absolutely adore it. Definitely one for the pollinators. Again, it'll probably get to a similar sort of height, maybe like, I don't know, 5'4" or something like that. So not the tallest, but a little bit taller, which could be useful. We have also Nautia macedonia and Nautia arvensis, which are scabious-like plants that will get to maybe 5'8". I'm gonna be very generous and say that maybe slightly smaller. It really depends. They get really tall stems like this, as you can see. This one has lovely sort of reddish hot pink flowers. The one over here has the typical scabious light purple colored flowers. So another great, almost really tallish one to have. Verbascums. There are some verbascums that'll get tall. In fact, this one is actually over 6 foot at this point, although I believe this is a short-lived verbascum. So definitely worth checking out each different one to see if they will get as tall as this one, because if they do, definitely worth having in your garden. So yes, those are some of my absolute favorite tall perennials that you should try in your perennial garden. Let me know some of your recommendations in the comment section down below. And if you made it to the end, make sure to subscribe for more gardening content.